So yeah, as with the news that the One Piece anime is going to be going on break, I figured, you know what, now is pretty much a good time in order to live up to the promise I made in order to start reviewing Sakamoto Days. So yeah, here it is, guys, the very first chapter review of Sakamoto Days. And to just kind of give an overview on the plot for those who have yet to read the manga, the series focuses around Taro Sakamoto, a former hitman turned convenience store owner who, in his prime, was basically the John Wick of Japan, but retired after meeting the love of his life, getting married, had a kid, the whole 9 yards. That's pretty much it. This piece is. But this piece is interrupted when Shin, a former associate of Sakamoto, shows up at his door with only one of two choices: either recruiting him back into the organization that Sakamoto used to work for, or kill Sakamoto himself. Of course, after a scuffle in the shop and later Sakamoto basically tracking the assassins down, tracking the assassins who sent Shin down, and killing them, and basically going on a blitzkrieg kill of all of them, the chapter ends with Shin now working at Sakamoto's store. Now, all that sounds very heavy, but also very hilarious. But that's the thing. This series has what I would only describe as the Gintama effect, where it has a lot of comedic overtones while having a very subtle dramatic undertone to it. And just based off this first chapter, I think Sakamoto Days kind of handles these elements even slightly better than Gintama, or hell, actually another one to compare it to would be even Spy Family. I think Sakamoto Days handles these elements way better than even a lot of those series, just for how it kind of melds the two together rather than treating them like separate tones. And the premise alone, that this stocky, out of shape store owner who's also a former assassin is still just as but is still just as skilled as he was in his prime itself, is kind of hilariously badass. Like if I was to describe the type of comedy I witnessed in this chapter, yeah, again, it would be hilariously badass. Like a lot of these moments are so are so are so hilarious to watch, yet still so fucking badass that it's kind of incredible how the how the author like Yuto Suzuki had managed to combine these tones so expertly together. Like, I don't know what Suzuki Sama else has done, but yeah, the man is kind of an expert on combining comedy and drama, in my opinion. Like, I guess most Japanese shonen authors are, but this one specifically just feels so just timed very well, in my opinion. Um, Now, I do want to talk about Sakamoto himself because as an MC, he is basically a man of few words, only ever speaking if he has something that needs to be said. While every other bit of dialogue we get from him are basically are thought bubbles, like and us getting his thoughts on what he's thinking at the time. And I find that to be a fascinating approach to write a main character because it's a way of getting exposition across without the exposition, if that makes any sense. And it's a trick I believe does work so well because Sakamoto himself is an assassin. Like, it really allows us to get into his headspace without needing to go through every step of what he's doing or thinking. And one thing I clicked one thing that clicked and one thing I definitely clicked with. And on other characters, I guess we should talk about Shin himself, because this first chapter has basically set Shin up as being our surrogate for this series, and I do like the journey this series seemingly has already set him on, because it's basic in a lot of ways. Shin's journey is going to be a lot of what Sakamoto has a lot of the journey Sakamoto himself has been on since retirement, which is learning the value of life, and in a way that's not completely reinventing the wheel in terms of a shonen theme or story or anything, but because this manga is seemingly so focused on telling the story of Sakamoto's life as an assassin, like and like before retiring, and the reckoning with that past, while contrasting that with the life he has now, that's also kind of what makes Shin's progression throughout the story, I think, is going to be all the more interesting to follow, and just seeing him learn how it takes more strength to live than it does to die, or even just to take a life, and just what kind of personal conclusion like Shin is going to come to by the end of this series is, and the steps he'll take to get there is going to be an interesting one to follow, because I imagine this isn't going to be like, let's be real, the pretty much assassins that Sakamoto dusted at the end of the chapter, they're not the only ones who are going to come for Sakamoto. Like the organization he used to work for, or is probably like this big is this big is this big is this big is this big Yakuza front, who basically has millions and millions of assassins they can send. So I imagine like that focus of tearing down the organization is gonna be like, again, the big sole focus, and which is gonna provide. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that journey takes Shin for specifically though. Um, with that said though, there is one other thing to talk about with Shin, which is that true to his moniker, our boy is a mind reader. So with psychic powers being a thing as well, it'll be interesting to see how Yuto explores this facet of the series with both Shin's character and the world itself. Because it's one thing to have assassins in your series, but adding psychic abilities on top of that, like, it does add an element that's going to be an interesting obstacle to deal with, even for someone as skilled as Sakamoto, if there are even more assassins with this ability. Although the actual mechanics to it are going to be interesting narratively in how they add to Sakamoto and Shin's dynamic, because with Sakamoto and Shin basically both with Shin basically being an Esper as well, it's like he's kind of he'd kind of any psychic assassins that come out of the Crest in the future, he would be the one to cancel it out. But I imagine he's kind of like a base level Esper in this regard. So it's like there are probably others who are stronger than him, and it's like how is that going to add to the dynamic here for sure. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, again, I really like this series. I'm going to continue to review it. What's probably going to end up happening here though is because is for now I'm going to be reviewing it on Saturdays. But once the One Piece anime comes back, I'm probably going to move it to like Wednesdays, Thursday, or maybe even Friday, something like that. Probably so I'm gonna move it back to another day when One Piece returns. But until, like, with One Piece on its break, expect these reviews every Saturday or something like that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, analyst, Spencer, hit your notification bell, subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight Runner signing off. Later, everyone.